How many of you have never been to a town hall meeting?
These are big. These are really big, and they really are taking on a whole different tenor from past town halls.
Being willing to come to a very large gathering like that and expressing your views with a lot of people saying, I've never been to a meeting, I've never spoken at this kind of meeting, that makes a big difference. So keep doing that.
Before, they've been, really interesting questions, more policy-related questions, but this particularly is really concerning about the constitutional crisis we may find ourselves in.
I think some of what we're seeing in this administration, where they say they're against, leaks, is they're really against the press, they're against scientists, they're against opinions that disagree with them. In America, the truth always comes out. With your help, I'll back you up with those reports. When scientists feel they're being pushed around and kept from telling the truth, I want to know about it. We'll be on it to protect that information.
I think the senator always gives me hope that the checks and balances in the country will protect us against abuses, as they have in the past, as they will again.
We protested down at City Hall.
We protested at City Hall for healthcare, pro-healthcare. So I think I might do more of that, maybe a bit of volunteer work.
And I always thought that health care was the most important issue, because if you and your loved ones don't have your health, then everything else pretty much goes by the board.
I was disappointed to hear that nobody asked about single-payer health care.
Well, the individual insurance market, the biggest thing we need to do is make those markets bigger so that you could spread the cost and the risk and help the people who didn't have an employer plan, didn't have a government, plan. And that would really make it easier for us to attract the younger and healthier people.
This would be a good time to bring up Medicare for all. It has to be improved, but Medicare for all. Nobody out, everybody in.
There's not a shred of evidence that 3 million people voted illegally. Not a shred of evidence. But I've said, if the Trump administration believes 3 million people voted illegally, they should support my effort to take Oregon vote by mail national so we have a paper trail for every ballot. At a time when communications and transportation and so much of our daily life is nationalized, I think it's time to again make sure that every person's vote counts, and I will support electoral college reform. There's no question that it's time.
I get the questions are by a lottery system, but the fact that all the people that talked were old and white, which is like a lot of Corvallis, I think that says a lot about who had access to this information, about when the town hall was, and even like who his audience is, because I really wish I could have seen more people of color in the audience.
And a big part of this is about legislation. I'm a strong supporter of legislation to bar racial profiling, for example. I've led the effort to take away the tax breaks for private prisons, which has been very important.
I want more action. I expected more of his plan and outline or something. I didn't get that, and that's very disappointing.
But let's also understand that when families are living in fear, who have been in this country for years and years and have done nothing except what we expect of them, let's fix the immigration system rather than blame them. We're going to enforce the laws on the books. That's what somebody said in the back. So if an employer knowingly hires people who are undocumented, the employer faces restrictions. But we ought to say, if that person has broken no other rules, shown they've mastered the English language, they ought to have a chance to be citizens in this country. That's immigration reform.
I'm active duty military. I'm in the Coast Guard, and I was asking him to address the Customer Discrimination Act, which protects LGBT citizens against businesses who do not feel like they should serve LGBT citizens. Are you going to bring up that act again in this year's Congress?
Yes.
First, he said yes.
I came out for marriage equality, for gay marriage, in 1995.
But then he kind of went on to marriage equality and how he will always support that, and we're not going to go back on that. However, I'm really looking for us to move forward with LGBT rights, not just stand where we are.
Equality, I said if you don't like gay marriage, don't get one.
I really think that a lot of these issues are intersectional. Whatever issue touches you, you need to extend that feeling to other minority groups. And all of us need to come out and speak out and be loud, be proud. Don't be ashamed to say what you believe in your heart.
Some people think that political change is about people in Washington, D.C. showing up in dark suits and talking a lot of government lingo, or the same thing in Salem or somewhere else. Political change, folks, is not top down. It is bottoms up. That's how you make political change.